What is true freedom? We have all suffered loss, trauma, grief, disappointment in our lives. I would say even more so since COVID hit. A global pandemic shifted our focus and made us think on what was most important. I want to explore how these triggers, our core belief systems that are formed out of traumatic experiences or events, and even our attachment styles, can keep us in a state of survival instead of living an abundant, authentic life. I also think it's important to investigate the difference between purpose versus assignment, and how finding true freedom can truly unlock itself by knowing the difference. Let's start with a simple exercise. I first encountered this exercise through a friend, fellow artist and healer, Samantha. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. As you breathe, notice any tension in the body. Reconnect with your vessel. Shift your weight if you need to. Get comfortable. Another deep breath. Release any tension on your exhale. I'm going to say 3 sentences that start with I am. And I want you to finish each statement with whatever first comes to mind. This is just for you. Breathe in. I am. I am. I am. Which I am statement most resonates with you? Hold it and take it in your mind. Breathe in, exhale. Open your eyes. Who here wants to live a more abundant life? Before every New Year's Eve, one of the practices my husband and I love to do is meditating on what God, the divine, our creator, wants us to know or think on in the coming year, a running theme of sorts. And before stepping into 2022, 2 ideas repeatedly came into consciousness: abundance and authenticity. In March 2020, I had just started a contract on Broadway in New York City, and then COVID hit and took all that I had worked so hard for away. I had successfully built a career in professional theater and finally made it to Broadway, the creme de la creme. When this happened, I lost all sense of self. I didn't know when it happened or when I chose to believe that what I did for a living was who I was, but I bought into the lie. I didn't know the difference between my purpose and my assignment on earth. You see, identifying your purpose on earth can be one of the most liberating things you ever do. Why? Because then everything you do can be tested against that purpose. If you have a decision in front of you to make about your career, a love, a life, and it doesn't propel you forward in your purpose, then maybe it shouldn't be taking priority. I had forgotten my purpose. What were you created for? What is your reason for living? Now, after many hours of prayer, counsel, therapy, meditation, I finally reconnected with my purpose: to love. First, God, my creator, but second, people. I had forgotten that my reason for existing was to love people abundantly, to care, give to, and build community with others while completing my assignment in the arts, whether it be theater contract, film, or TV. My assignment was a set of tasks using my natural gifting, talents, abilities to help me stay active within my purpose. But my tasks weren't my purpose. No wonder my worth as a human being was caught up in a Broadway contract that was lost. Now, tapping into your purpose and defining this for yourself can be a daunting task. I realize now that the commitment I made to myself to work through my triggers and unhealthy core belief systems contributed to me reconnecting with my purpose. I was able to restore communication with my inner child, reignite my imagination as an adult, which then opened my heart and gave me a greater capacity to love, which truly fills my cup. Now, according to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, there are 5 categories or levels of needs. And if you're unfamiliar with Maslow's work, he was one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century. The first category he brings to our attention are basic physiological needs, which include food, water, shelter. Next is safety and security. Then belonging, which is accomplished in relationship, in community. Esteem needs are feelings of accomplishment, contribution to society, significance, identity. Lastly, self-actualization needs, which is why I feel we're all here today. Achieving a higher potential, a higher self. Say your upbringing didn't include some of these basic human needs. For myself, I grew up poor, so I didn't have the security of knowing that there was always food in the fridge, nor the safety of knowing what kind of toxicity I would encounter upon entering home. The deficiency of any one of these basic human needs define the kind of thought patterns and behaviors we establish as adults. I've heard too often said, "It's how I grew up," or "It's just the way I am." Within these statements lie an unhealthy belief that we do not have the power to change or choose differently because of our experiences. Pandemic life exacerbated this reality. For example, as a child, I grew up with hardworking immigrant parents who taught me that if I did all they asked, I was deserving of love. However, that love was conditional. It only existed if I completed that said task. And so I grew up with the core belief that love was conditioned on my performance. Hello, somebody. I know I'm not the only one with immigrant parents. And not all immigrant parents exhibit this behavior. During the pandemic, I began to question all forms of love in my life because I was no longer active in what I thought my purpose was. I didn't have anything going for me, wasn't bringing in an income. I wasn't earning my keep. I was essentially a nobody. So how can I win my love? You can imagine how this frustrated my husband, who just loves me just because. These forces controlled so much of my life. This wasn't living in abundance. Unhealthy core belief systems have got to be one of the stickiest systems to break down because they are our most deeply rooted assumptions about ourselves, about the world, about others. They shape our reality, not just our behaviors. And don't get me wrong, not all core belief systems are unhealthy. There are some great core belief systems that hold us and keep us living abundantly, like equity, diversity, inclusion are the keys to building a better future for all. However, the reality I had built for myself immediately started affecting my relationships and surrounding community. And I began highlighting the unhealthy ways I also form attachments. According to Maslow, it is a basic human need to want to belong. Yet, even how we attach to others and have relations can be decided for us without our consciousness. And this is the key: to strive for autonomy over our bodies, our minds, our hearts, so we can access true freedom, living in abundance, and our most authentic self. Did you know that attachment styles are formed within the first year of life? Research shows that it's between 7 and 11 months of infancy based on the relationships with our earliest caregivers. British psychologist John Bowlby, was the father of attachment theory and believed there is a tremendous impact that continues through adulthood. And there are 4 different styles: secure, we all know that one, anxious, avoidant, and fearful avoidant, which is a combination of the 2. A year into pandemic, my husband and I finally found a puppy. We had been looking for a dog since we got married, and so for 4 years on and off, we searched. My husband, Metz, came across a litter out in Caledonia, so off we went. And we didn't have any intention of taking one home that night. We had no food, no water, no pee pads, nothing. But Metz thought it would be a good idea to start meeting some pups to get an idea of what we wanted. Now, on our first litter, we were fortunate enough to meet the mother and the father. As we turned into the driveway, the dad, a huge German shepherd, started encircling the car and barking to alert the owner of our arrival. And he was fast. So we had to inch our way up the driveway to the backfield because he wouldn't stop. I was a little hesitant getting out of the car, as you can imagine, but I tried to embrace the fear that bubbled up. I slowly opened my car door to welcome Dad. We'll call him Chase. He serviced many of the female dogs in the area. He was sweet, protective, assertive, but gentle. And Mom, we'll call her Willow, was a true mother, curious, investigative, and respectful, watching us carefully as we moved up the field and approached her pen. She never left my side, and she only huffed, as if to say, I don't need to draw attention, just here asserting your character. We spent quite a bit of time in the pen, handing out kibble and seeing which pup showed a kind demeanor and genuine curiosity for humans. Well, there was one who kept coming back to us, licking our hands, falling all over itself. And it was a cold night. At that moment, it stole my heart. What they say about babies and puppies is real. We still had another litter to visit, though. So we drove 25 minutes to Aldershot to meet a pair of doodles. Now, these pups were taken from their parents quite early. Usually, they're supposed to stay with the mother until they're 8 to 9 weeks old. But they didn't give us the same feeling. We got back in the car, drove back to Chase and Willow. On our way, texted the owner that we would love to take that runt off his hands. That had imprinted onto us. And the rest is history. We gave her the name Nalu. About a week and a half into housebreaking, I had this overwhelming experience. I was in the bathroom and praying about why I wasn't allowing myself to love this puppy. Now, I knew I was already in love with this creature with all my heart, but for whatever reason, I felt like my heart was hitting an emotional wall. Over and over, it was torture. I could feel myself resist connection, stopping myself from the outpour of affection. I stood at the sink, gripping the countertop, sobbing, trying to ascertain why I was so afraid to give my heart to this young pup. In an instant, I had flashes of imagery. Her getting hit by a truck, getting lost, drowning in the creek out back. What I was most afraid of was losing her. You see, in 2019, April, I had suffered a traumatic miscarriage while opening the premiere of The Color Purple. That same year in June, my baby sister got married, and a month later, we lost our stepfather, the only true father figure and dad we had ever known, in a sudden motorcycle accident at the young age of 52. Because I had traumatically lost so many things in such a short amount of time, I assumed this was my forever curse. That I would only know loss, that I couldn't possibly know relationship or community in longevity because my past had proven life would always be cut short, snuffed out. I had fallen into a dozy state of fearful avoidant attachment. feared intimacy. I feared abandonment. As this realization washed over me, as I gripped that countertop, I cried out to my Creator and screamed, "Help me." And like a whisper to my soul, I heard, "It's okay to love her, Samantha. I promise it's okay." I can't tell you the ways in which this puppy has unlocked my inner child, made me playful again, pulls me through my anxiety and those dark days that come and steal all of the light. I am living in my abundance. And yes, it doesn't look the way society teaches us is success with things and titles and 3-car garages. I am moving through in consciousness. And when I come across a trigger, an unhealthy core belief or attachment style that isn't propelling me into my purpose, but instead keeping me in a state of survival, I take the time. Because when you are conscious of your own traumas and wounding, guess what? You begin to understand others' woundings as well and see it for what it is. This has expanded my capacity for grace immensely. Living in true freedom, despite our predisposition, is where we truly find life in abundance. The next time you hear someone say, "It's just the way I am," I hope you will do them a loving service of challenging them to strive for more than what they believe themselves to be. Let us all be curious wanderers of our own souls and never tire of seeking true freedom. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. In your mind's eye, see the "I am" statement that resonated most with you. If you could dream another ending for that statement, what would it be? Breathe. Let the old one dissolve away and the new one come into focus. And if the old one still applies, great. Hold it there in your mind. Breathe in that statement. Let it fill your entire body. Open your eyes. Let us walk now into our season of abundance. Thank you.